A friend of mine recommended me a game called Dragon Marked for Death by Inti Creates, and this video is not about that game. However, in becoming more familiar with Inti Creates, developers of the Mega Man Zero series for the Game Boy Advance, I discovered a game called Majogami, which ended up releasing on October 30th, 2025. I actually bought this game as sort of a protest to the ever-evolving game keycard situation in regards to Switch 2 cartridges. For a relatively small developer, Inti Creates releasing a proper Switch 2 cartridge was something I thought was worth rewarding, plus the game looked interesting enough. So, I had a copy imported because the physical edition was only released in Japan. I just recently watched the credits roll, and I've gotta say, Majogami was one of the most fun games I've played in a while. It's a 2D platformer with what I think is an extremely unique action style. In Majogami, you are a witch that has to hunt down and do battle with other witches, but the gimmick is sort of that it's all taking place in a paper world. Think Paper Mario, but not an RPG. The game's fairly straightforward, with a few levels per world, all leading to a boss fight. I played the game on hard mode, it was pretty challenging. Learning how to properly use my attacks and move around efficiently was integral to me understanding the game. It's about completing it as quickly as possible. There's timed challenges, leaderboards, so on and so forth. Which, from the trailer, I didn't really grasp. But it's almost Sonic-like, where you start to memorize the levels and you can zip through them with tight execution. This was a welcome surprise once I fully wrapped my head around the flow of things. The main tool at your disposal is this slicing move, which changes its properties depending on circumstances and how long you press the button for, and mastering it is much more deep and interesting than meets the eye. All the boss fights were excellent, well designed, you unlock new abilities and equipment at a steady pace. The gameplay really didn't leave me desiring for much, which is refreshing in its own right. On top of that, I think the game is beautiful. It's got a very unique art style, it doesn't look like a lot of other games, and it's complemented by this sort of unexplained whimsy. Majogami isn't super goofy, but it also isn't super serious, and they walk that line perfectly whilst not really addressing it in the narrative. Which, mind you, is driven entirely by dialogue, giving the game visual novel vibes. Frankly, I was surprised at how compelling the story was without a lick of CGI, or overproduced cutscenes, or anything of the sort. It's worth noting also that Majogami is a new IP, new cast of characters, new world, etc. I could go on and on about this game. I think it's a hidden gem in a sea of fluffy releases, but I'll leave some of that discovery to you. Can't recommend it enough. Thanks for watching.